Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Let's talk about that shift, that subtle, almost invisible shift. When a woman starts pulling away, she still replies all but slower. She still smiles, but colder. She's there, but not really with you, and in your gut you feel it. Something has changed. Something sacred has started slipping through your fingers. And here's the hardest part. You don't know what to do. Do you chase her? Do you pull back? Do you demand answers or stay calm and wait it out? Brother, listen closely. When a woman distances herself, it's not always about you, but it always reveals you. It reveals your level of emotional mastery. It reveals your attachment patterns. And most importantly, it reveals how deeply you've anchored your masculine core. In this video, we're going to decode it all. You'll learn why women emotionally distance themselves, what not to do when her energy starts fading, how to respond with masculine strength and ancient self-respect, and how to turn disconnection into clarity without losing yourself in the process. Because this isn't about playing games. This is about embodying the kind of man who never begs for closeness, but instead attracts it by being grounded, calm, and complete. Drop a comment below. Have you ever felt a woman pull away and didn't know how to respond? And before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe, and share it with a brother who's been silently suffering through emotional distance. Let's bring truth, clarity, and power back to the heart of manhood. Chapter 1. The real reason she's pulling away and why you must stay calm. Let's begin with a hard truth. When a woman begins to distance herself, most men panic. They sense the shift in her tone, the gap in her responses, the way she stops reaching out first, and without knowing it, they go into emotional overdrive and overthinking, over-texting, over-explaining. But here's what no one told you. A woman's distance is not always rejection. Sometimes it's a test, sometimes it's fear, and sometimes it's just her needing space to reconnect with herself. But most men fail this moment, not because they're weak, but because they're afraid. Let's explore what's really happening beneath the surface. 1. Women are emotional creatures. They flow, rise, and retreat. A woman's emotional world is like the ocean, full of depth, movement, and change. She may be warm today, cool tomorrow, open one week, distant the next. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional fluctuation. It's part of her feminine energy. And in ancient wisdom, the masculine role was not to control the tides, but to remain the unshakable rock that the ocean flows around. She pulls away to see if you'll collapse, or if you'll remain calm, grounded, and secure in who you are. 2. Her distance might be a mirror of her own insecurities. Sometimes when a woman begins to catch real feelings, especially if she has wounds from the past, she'll distance herself not because she doesn't care, but because she's afraid of how deeply she's starting to care. She fears abandonment, she fears disappointment, she fears losing herself in love. So instead of running to you, she pulls back into herself. And here's where most men fail. They assume it's personal. They think they did something wrong. They start reaching, chasing, trying to fix it. But you can't fix what's not yours to heal. You can only respond with presence, not panic. 3. What you do in this moment determines everything. Her emotional withdrawal is not just a reaction, it's a reveal. A reveal of her process and a reveal of yours. Will you become desperate for her attention? Will you demand answers with frustration in your voice? Will you lose your center because she's temporarily unsure of hers? Or will you remain still, focused on your path, rooted in your value, unshaken by the storm of her emotions? Because when you remain centered, you give her something rare, the safety of your stillness. And that is what pulls her back more powerfully than words ever could. 4. Never beg for closeness. It must be freely given. You cannot force intimacy. You cannot talk a woman into staying close if her soul has gone inward. And if you try, you will come off as needy, controlling, or insecure, even if your intentions are pure. The strongest thing a man can do when a woman pulls away is to let her. Let her breathe. Let her reflect. Let her feel the absence of your presence without punishment and without pursuit. If she truly values the connection, she will return, not because you chased her, but because you respected both her space and your own dignity. 5. Use her distance as an invitation to return to your mission. Instead of asking, why is she pulling away? Ask yourself, what have I stopped doing for myself? Have you drifted from your goals? Abandoned your masculine structure? Put your emotional well-being in her hands? Her distance is your wake-up call. Reconnect with your mission. Go back to the gym. Build something meaningful. Read. Create. Lead. Come so immersed in becoming the man you admire that her presence is a bonus, not your backbone. Because here's the secret. A woman is more likely to come back when she sees you didn't fall apart without her. Drop a comment below. Have you ever panicked when a woman pulled away? What did you learn about yourself in that moment? Chapter 2. The 5 worst things men do when a woman pulls away, and what to do instead. There's a dangerous moment that happens right after a woman starts to pull back. And in that moment, many men, good men, sabotage the connection without even realizing it. Why? Because they react from insecurity, not awareness. From fear, not leadership. This chapter is about the mistakes you must avoid when a woman starts becoming distant, and the masculine responses that restore your strength, peace, and power. Let's break it down. First, mistake. Chasing her attention. The most common and most damaging reaction is to chase. You send multiple texts. You call more than usual. You try to create conversations out of thin air. You flood her with affection, hoping to win her back. But here's what that does. It makes her feel like you need her more than you need yourself. And that kills attraction. A woman doesn't want to feel hunted when she's retreating. She wants to feel safe. And pursued presence is not safety, it's pressure. Hold the line. Give her the space without guilt, without resentment, and without chasing. Don't go cold. Don't go cruel. Just be steady. Let your silence speak your confidence. When you stop chasing, you give her space to feel the absence of your masculine energy, and that absence creates gravity. 2. Mistake. Over-explaining or demanding answers. Another mistake is trying to force clarity. You ask, is something wrong? Did I do something? Why are you acting different? Just be honest with me. The intention is good, but the delivery is weak. Because it shows you've lost your footing. You don't need to understand her storm to stand in your calm. Observe more. Speak less. Let her behavior tell you what words won't. Not everything needs a label. Not every mood needs a discussion. A wise man doesn't interrogate. He watches, reflects, and responds only when necessary. If something needs to be said, say it calmly. Once. Then go back to your mission. 3rd mistake. Becoming passive-aggressive or cold. Some men try to act unbothered by pretending they don't care. They withdraw affection to match her energy. They give her the silent treatment to feel powerful. This isn't strength, it's manipulation. It's reactive, and women feel it instantly. When you try to punish her with silence, you reveal your weakness. Be emotionally neutral. You don't have to match her energy. You lead with your own. If she pulls back, you don't retaliate. You stay grounded, warm, present, calm. Let her feel the weight of your self-control. That's real masculinity. 4th mistake. Making her your emotional center. When a woman becomes distant, some men go into a spiral. They stop working out, they stop focusing at work, they lose sleep, they lose focus. all because she stopped texting back the way she used to. Brother, what? That's not love, that's emotional dependency. A king doesn't fall apart when the queen has a bad day. Double down on your discipline, return to structure, get back to your fitness, your goals, your mission. Use her absence as a signal to go deeper into your own growth. The more you invest in you, the more attractive your energy becomes, not just to her, but to the world. Fifth mistake, trying to reignite the spark with external tricks. This is where men try gifts, surprises, social media displays, or emotional love bombing. They try to spark her interest with externals, hoping it will reignite attraction. But attraction is not reignited from the outside. It begins within. If her fire for you has dimmed, your inner flame must be brighter than ever. And not for her, but for yourself. Now, let go of outcome. Focus on your essence, not your performance. Reconnect with who you are when you're not trying to be loved. That man and the unshakable one is the one she remembers and the one she reconsiders. Drop a comment below. Which of these mistakes have you caught yourself doing, and how did it affect the dynamic? Chapter 3. Turning her distance into your power, the masculine response that attracts without force. Let's flip the script. What if her emotional distance is not a curse, but an opportunity? An opportunity to come back to yourself, to grow, to evolve, to become the man you were before her, but with even greater depth, strength, and clarity. Because here's the truth. A woman's distance is not always about her losing interest. Sometimes it's life giving you space to level up. You're being given the chance to detach from outcome and attach to purpose. This is where the real transformation begins. 1. Withdraw emotionally, without closing your heart. There's a difference between detaching and disconnecting. Detachment is powerful. It says, I choose peace whether or not you choose me. It's calm, grounded, centered. Disconnection, on the other hand, is numb. It's angry, it's bitter. It says, you hurt me, so I shut down. And women feel the difference. When you detach with love, you remain present, just not needy. You're still kind, still respectful, but you no longer hand over your emotional stability for her to control. That's rare. And rare is attractive. 2. Anchor deeper into your mission and purpose. Ancient warriors didn't chase women when things got uncertain. They turned to their mission, their craft, their code. That's what made them magnetic. They didn't wait for approval. They became the approval. This is your chance to do the same. Ask yourself, what have I abandoned since I met her? What purpose have I put on pause while waiting for emotional reassurance? What man do I want to become, regardless of who stays or who leaves? Because women don't want to be the center of your world. They want to orbit a man who is centered in his own. 3. Rebuild the masculine frame. She can respect. Here's a hard truth. Sometimes a woman pulls away not because she doesn't love you, but because she no longer respects the way you've been showing up. Maybe you became too available, too reactive, too focused on pleasing her instead of leading yourself. But here's the beautiful thing. Respect can be restored, not by controlling her, but by controlling yourself. When you stop emotionally chasing, when you stop seeking validation through her responses, when you show up focused, disciplined, and composed, she notices. Because you're not giving her pressure. You're giving her something rare. A man who is whole, with or without her. 4. Let your absence speak louder than words. If she's not calling, if she's not texting, if her vibe is cold or inconsistent, you don't fight it, you don't force it. You pull back respectfully, not dramatically. Not to punish her, but to protect your peace. Let her feel what life is like without your emotional availability. Let her wonder where your warmth went. Let her feel your silence and recognize that it's not passive, it's intentional. And if she still doesn't return? Good, because now you've learned to hold your line and your energy with integrity. 5. Transform the pain of her distance into your evolution. Let's not lie. When a woman pulls away, it stings, it's emotional, it makes you question yourself. But that pain is power if you know how to use it. Use the discomfort to train harder, learn deeper, lead stronger, build better relationships. With yourself, first pain, when embraced, becomes the birthplace of masculine mastery. It refines your focus, it sharpens your edge, it turns your attention back to the one person who truly needs it most, you. Drop a comment below, and what's one way you've turned emotional distance into personal growth? Let's share wisdom with the tribe. Chapter 4. When you stand still, she feels the shift and returns to the man who never chased. Let's bring this full circle. By now you understand. Her distance was never the enemy. It was the mirror. It showed you where you were strong and where you were slipping. But now you've changed. You didn't chase. You didn't collapse. You didn't try to force a connection that had grown cold. Instead, you focused. You leveled up. You chose to become the kind of man a woman remembers when she's alone with her thoughts. And here's what happens next. 1. She starts to feel the space you created. At first, she didn't notice. Your absence seemed like silence, but over time, it becomes volume. She starts to realize, you're not texting anymore, you're not checking in, you're not watching her stories, you're not around. And slowly, the certainty she once had begins to shift into curiosity, then doubt, then longing. A woman may resist your presence, but she can't forget your strength, especially when it stays silent, steady, and unbothered. 2. She remembers the security of your calm. Every man can offer excitement. Every man can flood her with attention when things are good. But very few men stay calm when things are uncertain. Very few men can hold their center when a woman tests his balance. And that's the man she thinks about when she's lying in bed. Not the one who begged, not the one who tried to impress, but the one who stood tall and walked with purpose when she went cold. You see, women are emotional, but they remember presence. They remember how a man made them feel about themselves, but also how a man felt about himself. And if you showed her strength without bitterness or blame, you've planted a memory she'll revisit for a long, long time. 3. Some return, some don't, but you win either way. Let's be real. She might come back, or she might not. She may wake up one morning, realize your value, and reach out, or she may keep her distance and never explain why. But here's the truth. If you held your dignity, you didn't lose her. You found you, you've earned peace. You've reclaimed your masculinity. You've proven to yourself that your emotional strength doesn't depend on her behavior. And that's the win, that's the prize, that's the power. 4. The new you doesn't chase, he chooses. Now you move differently. You don't beg to be understood. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You've built your kingdom. You've done the inner work. You're in shape. Mentally, emotionally, physically. So if she returns, you no longer ask, does she still want me? You ask, is she aligned with the man I've become? That's how kings move. And if she doesn't return, you don't wait, you don't watch. You simply smile and engage, because you know the right woman will see your value without needing distance to appreciate it. 5. You've become the man. Women regret losing. You are now calm, confident, purpose-driven, emotionally disciplined. You don't overreact. You don't explain yourself repeatedly. You don't allow disrespect to slide. You speak less. You move more. You choose yourself every day. And whether she returns or not, you've become the type of man she silently admires and deeply respects. You've become the man she never thought would walk away until he did. And now your life no longer revolves around a woman's presence. It revolves around your mission, your values, and your own peace. and that's where your real power lives. But let me know in the comments, what part of this message hit home for you the most? Share it with the tribe below.